nhớ rồi trong này gì cái tên này cha nó nói lúc cha lên đâu lúc tiền năng rồi chỉ xong ốp hành năng rồi cũng giờ bỏ đi va nhớ đâu lúc giờ sinh phò sinh Minnesota lúc nào cũng bỏ tàu hạt địa Dr. Scott Jensen giờ tụi giờ là sĩ tụi và tụi governor nhớ lúc sa Republican nhớ đâu họ lúc sinh Minnesota nó mà nó lúc cũng tàu tuần chỉ bây giờ nhà sĩ mong cho thấy cho chúng tụi nhớ đâu họ nói tí dạng của thế cũng chấp biết một số hạt địa trong đây cha tàu cá đó cũng chúng tôi để cho nhiệt sĩ là có tàu mua lúa nu cho Dr. Scott hạt địa giờ tiền tàu là what tụi governor nhớ tàu họ lúc sinh bên số nó này lúc 50% trong đi cha còn nó tàu của chân bên một sai lúc event trong mình nó tàu cá đó cũng cho bên một nu ở bên đó lúa cho Dr. Scott thì cũng tàu là tây ở bên đó lúa hết bây giờ này cho chỉ tí dạng cầu thế
nhớ rằng mà nó giờ ít mà chẳng chẳng Dr. Scott Jensen, Ted Matt Burke, ya auto yo kia wa governor, the lieutenant governor, cái yo tuần gì cho nó cho wa the cho bị sản phẩm sản phẩm nó, bị tụt xin cho, mà nó nhớ ta cafeteria ya, wa cho cái cafeteria wa là donate là cost space nó cho wa bị tụt xin thana.
These politicians, they're not just ruining our government, they're ruining our state, and they're ruining our country. And somebody had to step up, and I started following Scott around and going to his events, and there would be 100, 200 people showing up, and all those people, most of those people were just like me. They'd never been involved before, but they reached the point where it was going to cost more to stay on the sidelines than it was to get in the arena and fight. And I know everybody in here knows what it means to fight, and that's what we're doing. And believe it, in November, the people are going to have the final say. And the people are going to take the government back from these career politicians and do what's right by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
For 4th of July, Matt tuần cho bây giờ mong nhớ tỷ đương vào càng gặp, cũng chỉ đó bỏ ý từ Lieutenant Governor và này là kia và nào chú ý này, chỉ sử dụng đó một lần cho bên mong sẽ lại. Cú yuan gì ở bên là lưu vấn đề cú introduce Dr. Scott Jensen. Nếu mà lần đầu lúc thái đầu, ít phải bên mà đi thái. Thì chỉ cú thằng chỉ sắp hôm nay nè. Who in this room? I know all of the Hmong leaders here. Former National Chairman Tu Phang is here. The Honorable Colonel Lee Teng, who led the Hmong forces during the Vietnam War, is also here with us. The veterans are here. The Chairman of the Hmong Leadership Council, Chairman Kang, is also here. Chairman Yang, who is the national chairman of the veteran, is here. Many important Hmong leaders are here. So that's why I'm going to ask this question about supporting Mei Shang. When was the last time Benny McCollum came and met with all of you and invited all of you to a room like this and said, how can I help you? From my recollection, she's done that. She only talked about deportation when I was running. And that was it. Right? Gunu shada hatia. Ya vijate pe shada yo chu chang ko me wa Congress na. Benny McCollum pa tao cho tua khui lo kong pa so ni no ai chờ ni cho nó cho tôi nó được thả tia. Ni có cụ ba ni đi trả ni cái nhiều share ra chỉ pe yo. We are more Congress if we are planning which you are, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Lieutenant Governor, Flanagan, current Lieutenant Governor, has she ever invited any one of you, room full of Hmong leaders, and came here, invite you to a dinner and say, hey, how can I serve you better? What's going on with the Hmong community? She didn't show, so if tomorrow she shows, she's following Matt Burke. Would everyone give a round of applause for Matt Burke for putting this honoring the Hmong community? And same thing, we have the great Governor Tim Walz running around. He's gonna have all the solutions. Now he wants to talk about public safety finally. Also taking the lead from the Republican Party. Governor Walz, did he invite all of you, not just one group, all of you together to meet with him to talk about the future of Minnesota? I say he did not. And if tomorrow, after he heard that Dr. Scott Jensen had a meeting with you, he might call a meeting. You mark my words, he is also following our leader now, Dr. Scott Jensen. I also heard that Tim Walz wasn't going to come to the 4th of July event, let alone sponsor a table to support the Hmong community until Dr. Scott Jensen actually bought a table, supported the Hmong community, attended the event, and walked around wanting to meet the Hmong community, wanting to support the Hmong community. That's what he did. I'll tell you why I support Dr. Scott Jensen, Senator Dr. Scott Jensen, as for governor. He's qualified. He's been a senator now. He knows how to work the state, to work with politicians. He's a medical doctor. He delivered many Hmong babies. He's been a doctor for a very long time. And guess what's going to happen tomorrow? The virus has mutated. The virus did not go away. It's mutating. The next pandemic is right around the corner. Who is the most qualified candidate to help our state and to guide our state out of another pandemic without unnecessary mandate, doing the common sense thing, allow our economy to thrive, and that we can protect ourselves from this horrible pandemic or another pandemic? It would be none other than Dr. Scott Jensen. Lastly, when it comes to the Hmong community and whether or not who we need to support, Democratic, Republican, or Independent, we support the leader that shows up. We support somebody who actually took the time and said the Hmong community matters. 100,000 Hmong members in Minnesota matters. Not only would I meet with them, but I'm willing to eat with them. And anybody that does that same thing tomorrow is following me. Please welcome Dr. Scott Jensen. Next governor.
It was 42 years ago that I moved to St. Paul to do my residency at Bethesda Hospital. And I met many Hmong people. I still remember Shua Vang, and she helped interpret so that I could take care of patients. It makes me very happy to see you have such a close relationship with Mike Murphy. And I'll tell you why you like Mike Murphy. Because he speaks truth. The word authentic means you are what you say you are. That's what Mike Murphy does. But in 1980, when my wife and I moved to St. Paul, I learned that the Hmong people do more than just speak the truth. You respect one another. You respect all people. You are arguably one of the biggest success stories of my life. You had a rough go of it in Southeastern Asia, and you came to this country with dreams and hopes and an incredible amount of pain that you had to deal with. And you demonstrated to America, you help us a little bit, and we'll help you a ton. And that's what you have done. You have lifted Minnesota. You have become a vibrant part of our economy, of our state, and you've shown us how to lead. I've had a chance to meet General Paul Vang when I was in the Senate. I've always been impressed with the way you respect your leaders. Leadership matters. We have colonels and chair people here. I remember the first time I met Tu Fong, and he told me about some of the challenges he had with business. I remember the first time I met Shia. But as leaders, you know how important respect is. And you know how important it is to not flinch when things get tough. And you don't. And at the end of the day, you understand also that every voice needs to be heard. Every voice. You have a trailblazing spirit. You know no fear. Wherever you have to go to make something happen, you just do it. I can't imagine, May, what it was like in June of 2020, and the riots, and the burning, and the fear for your families. Matt Burke and I are running as partners. We think that Minnesota has enough politicians, and we want to lead. We want to lead in much the same tradition that you lead your community and you lead St. Paul. We're going to speak the truth, even if it gets us in trouble. We're going to respect one another. We're not going to flinch. We're going to speak for every voice, and we will trailblaze the issues. We have the same goals. We want, as Matt said, to elevate our faith, to take care of our families, to celebrate freedom. And this is one of the challenges you have, is you have got to help Minnesota understand how precious freedom is. Because you understand it better, so much better, than perhaps family trees like mine, where for 5 generations we have been in America. You have left something that you desperately wanted to leave. And you came here with dreams and hopes. And you have made those dreams and hopes come true. But you know how precious freedom is. And you know that we cannot take a casual attitude and say, oh well, the government will make sure that we have our freedom, because the government won't. Ronald Reagan was the president when I first got involved in politics in 1980. And he said something like, the scariest words you'll ever hear is someone knocking at your door saying, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. If you want help, look to your community. Look to your family. Because when Matt Burke and I get elected in November, we're going to want to help. We're going to want your help. We're going to look to heroes and leaders and truth tellers. We're going to look to Mike Murphy. We're going to look to Shia. We're going to look to your chairman and your colonels and to Tufan and to Yasmin. We're going to look to May. We're going to look to Alan Shen. Because we need your help. Minnesota's in trouble. We know that. You know that. You feel the pain. So for tonight, it's an immense privilege for Matt Burke and I just to, if you will, sink into the support and the thoughtfulness and the measuredness of what you bring to life in Minnesota. You folks are heroes. You have accomplished what 50 years ago you might have wondered, would you ever get a chance to accomplish? You have come here, you have touched your own communities, but you have touched all the communities in Minnesota as well. And you have told us we can do this together. And so we are going to do this together in November. So thank you for letting me speak with you tonight. It is my honor.
Well, let's get another loud applause for all of our panelists. Matt Burke. The next speaker that we have is Matt Burke, running for Lieutenant Governor. Please welcome Matt Burke.
You know, it's been a tough couple years for everybody. But the good thing about tough times is strong leaders emerge. And if you look at the political landscape today, a lot of people who really hadn't been involved in politics before have come off the sidelines and said, enough's enough, that we have to take our government back from the politicians. Our government's supposed to be by the people, for the people. And so I think it's wonderful. May, your candidacy, I'm going to tell you something. May is going to win. And it is going to be fantastic for her, not just her district, but for all of Minnesota and for America. Because she is symbolic. She's symbolic of how the system is supposed to work. Yeah, I grew up right here in St. Paul. My family and my wife's family is both from the east side. My wife went to grade school right down the street there at St. Pascal. So growing up in St. Paul in the 80s, I mean, I know about the Hmong community being such a positive for St. Paul. And back then in the 80s, my family, we were Democrats, because the Democrats represented what we valued, what we wanted. You know, my parents, my mother grew up on a farm. She worked at a nursing home. She wasn't a nurse, she worked at a nursing home right on 35E in Maryland for 35 years. My father delivered newspapers. Does anybody still get the newspaper? Get delivered to your house? Not many people do. You do? Well, you're old. I'm old too, I still get the newspaper. But he delivered newspapers. He delivered newspapers 365 days a year. There was no days off. He got up every single day at 3 a.m., 1 a.m. on Sundays, and delivered newspapers. And that was okay by him, because all he wanted was to work, and he wanted to give his kids a better life than what he had. Right? That was all he wanted. So he was able to go to work. We were able to get a good education. We had the opportunities. And I think he would tell you that myself and my two brothers, that we've done better in a lot of ways than he did. And that's all he wanted. And I could sit up here, the great thing about going first is Scott's got to clean up whatever I don't. I'm going to let Scott talk about issues and stuff. We can tell you what we're going to do and how we're going to do this and do that, Scott, but I can't predict everything. But I can just tell you what I value and what Scott values, and I think you'll be able to tell how we will behave, how we will govern when we're in office. What's important to us? Faith is important to us. Everybody should have the ability to practice and elevate their faith. Freedom or opportunity is important to us. You know, I think it's funny. I think the one thing that we all saw during COVID, and I think the Hmong community knows this, but I think a lot of us, me included, got complacent and took it for granted, that what freedom actually is and what it means and how fragile it can be taken away like that. We saw a lot of our freedoms taken away. Faith, freedom, and family. Family. I mean, I have 8 kids, okay? Only 8, right? My parents wanted, and I want what my parents wanted. I want my kids to be able to practice their faith. I want them to be able to get a great education. I want them to be safe, and I want them to do better than what I've done. That's how I look at everything. Those are the values that we will lead with, that we will hold important. Because at the end of the day, and those are going to guide us, because you can't predict every single thing that's going to happen. But those are the North Stars, to preserve those things. And I think if we stay focused on preserving those things and having the government the government's not here to be over people, for people to serve the government, but the government is actually here to serve the people. I think we can get Minnesota back on track, back to where it should be, that place where anybody can accomplish that American dream, whatever it looks like for them. And the reason that I'm running with Scott Jensen is because I think like May, He's here because he saw something going on and he just said, these politicians, they're not just ruining our government, they're ruining our state and they're ruining our country. And somebody had to step up, and I started following Scott around and going to his events, and there would be 100, 200 people showing up, and all those people, most of those people were just like me. They'd never been involved before, but they reached the point where it was going to cost more to stay on the sidelines than it was to get in the arena and fight. And I know everybody in here knows what it means to fight, and that's what we're doing. And believe it, in November, the people are going to have the final say, and the people are going to take the government back from these career politicians and do what's right by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Nhà lấy chút kia lấy lúc họ tiền thì giờ nó to nó chỉ nó lấy qua đấy rồi bé sẽ mà bé sẽ cái gì tiền lòng sau đó thì cái cái gì cái loại cái bé sẽ nó chỉ cái gì cái có để vào cái cái đó nó là cho là yếu yếu nhiều cái gì cái bút khai nó thì thôi khai thì lấy trong nó tôi chỉ là lấy mỗi cái giờ phát thì nó cái gì bây giờ nó có thì nó trong nó tôi chỉ nó yếu cả trong cái gì
One of the things he also encouraged you to do, and encourage other candidates to do in working with your campaign, is that you need to tell the American people or the Hmong residents, when you get into office, what are you going to do? Make sure that's very clear, because most of the time we don't know why people are running for office. Right? You keep pointing finger at each other, but we want to know, what are you going to do? For example, how are you going to get the gas price back? That is what we want to hear a candidate say. When I get in office, this is how I'm going to solve this problem.
Nơi rong hàng hay là to candidate của Dr. Scott here that the tổ chức khỏe cà phê the commission giao nó mà very short nên cái ý hay thì cái mua tọt cái và cà phê nè chỉ chọn chỉ tên mình nào bây giờ chọn chỉ tên mình lo đi cho bê tê mình tụi mình nhua kia bê tê lầu cho cái nhau họ lúc làm mình số tạm nó dùng cái tàu cho khoản đó những cái tàu mua cái hay thì dùng cái tàu cho khoản bằng cái dụng một tàu cho chế cần tới nó còn dùng chặt ú kia bê mình tụi mình nhua kia là tàu cái cờ của lúc nên các xe lục đầu nhà tập đi những cái tí bê những cái hay thì your job. What is that? I can see that. I don't see that very well. Còn người cho có lúc lá mình sẽ tạo ra mua cái mà mình đầu tiên, tôi sẽ có nên cho tao người bên cái luôn nào. Ta chỉ cũng có cái chơi, theo họ cũng sẽ bao nè, do họ action and implementation.
So my question is, I looked at what you intend to do, and that you're going to restore safety, you're going to make the school better, and that you're going to bring prosperity to the urban communities or the Hmong community. My question is implementation and action. How do you intend to go about doing exactly those three things in very short? Please let me know how you're going to do it.
First off, we're going to put more police on the streets, and we're going to put criminals in jail. Secondly, in terms of schools, we need to make sure that parents and grandparents get a chance to put their kids where they'll succeed. when it comes to public, if you will, the economy, we need to have gasoline prices drop. And one of the best ways to do that is to use our oil products for gasoline and to use nuclear power to provide electricity for our grid. So we need to lift the moratorium on nuclear energy and allow our energy sources to fill the grid through nuclear. That will allow us to use our oil and our fossil fuels for gasoline. The idea of electric vehicles is certainly a real idea, and there will be time for that, but we can't force it. We don't have the ability to move in that direction right now. And when it comes to the price of groceries and things like that, sir, we have to stop interrupting supply chains. We have to let farmers farm, we have to let people do what they do so that these products can get to market and be on our grocery store shelves. Shia, did I miss anything there?
And the second thing I'd like you to do is to make sure that you take care of our veterans and that they, after they serve, that they're taken care of, they get hurt, or they find work to provide for their family. Number three, the veterans that fought was a secret war. They never had an official ID as a veteran in this country. Not too many of them are left. Many have since passed. I'd like you to be able to put a veteran ID, an honorary veteran ID for them so that they have some type of recognition that they actually fought for the United States and that the government of Minnesota recognize their contribution. So some type of ID to honor them would be great. So the fourth thing is they fought for the United States, the secret war, never get the recognition, and also they don't have any benefits. So we would like you to see what you can do in terms of getting them some type of veteran benefits. And fifth, the veterans need medical treatment. The wounds, psychological wounds that they received during the war, some type of medical assistance so that they can continue to treat their injury will be very helpful. And we also have many problems with senior cares. Many of our veterans, elderly, are staying at these senior cares due to language barriers or lack of education. For some reason, they're being abused and assaulted at this nursing facility. That is something that we like you to look into to make sure that our elderly who are at senior care are going to be safe. And so as a medical doctor, you're the most qualified person to lead. You've obtained the highest degree. And so I'm asking you to, for you to make sure that the Hmong community are safe.
Scott, ก็有母亲的我被读完了，对做governor，嘛还做 GOP 嘛 cũng mua ít cho nên bé mua cho sản chỉ cho GOP hàng cho thì chế độ đó này chỉ mua trăm phần sự vấn chỉ đầu bé thì và bé chỉ ra là mà do nó do có tàu là có yêu tàu GP cái yêu tàu cho bé họ lựa cả thế cả bông bông rồi cho bé mà được bông bả thì con nó còn bé chưa thì ở yên có thể bông bả họ cho nó nông suốt.
So the Hmong community has tried to reach out to meet with the Minnesota GOP elected official and are not getting through. So he's saying when you get elected, make sure that you respond to our requests and that your doors are open so that we can come and meet with you on issues that are very dear to us.
Ít con đó do các tàu qua bên từ governor là cả tại đó mong bên cho nó nhiều mong phải mong mua hồi đó có do chủ yếu bên mong community recognize là to hồi đó có mà theo đi lọt cho bên cho nhiệt gì là bên bên nên lúc nó thì lúc không cần mà governor đó cho tôi sai hồi thì lấy chỉ có bây giờ mong đi nào lấy chỉ có bên cho nhiệt gì mong nó ít tu đi nào bây giờ chẳng thả đó là bây giờ chỉ đồng này.
Another things that I like you to do differently than the current administration is to make sure that the people that work with you to serve the Hmong community, it's somebody that the Hmong community help pick and respect. Because if you just simply go out and hire another Hmong person, that person may not know any of these leaders. So you're disconnected. Having a Hmong staff person that has not been selected by the Hmong leaders of the Hmong community and are working for you, that we don't have connection through that person because that person doesn't even know us, like the current administration.
Có chỉ mù do có tàu của tu governor rồi, cũng sa bên sa cả bên Hmong community bên sa cả có support họ try credit offer chỉ cho tôi lưu lý đồ bây giờ chỉ mong bên mong nhiều cho trong bên mù bên chưa tôi no của bên na bên tôi họ lử na,但họ bây giờ chỉ mong bên tôi mua họ lử, mà sa cả government chủ ba họ nó bên chế năng thế này vô của bà bên thêm một chỗ tu chơi rồi nó chỉ có lu state như vậy.
So he's encouraging you to support the child credit for working parents. Many Hmong parents are working, but they need help with making ends meet. So the child credit, the 250 a month per child, something that they're being talked about at this state capitol. He encouraged you to support that because the Hmong family are struggling.
But tonight is very important because without America, the Hmong would not be this successful. My father rescued all American pilots that being shot down in Vietnam. You know, I handled like the Ho Chi Minh Trail along with your fathers and other warriors in Bangkok. They pay a very big price for our freedom today. But the bottom line is that I want to thank America, Dr. Scott Jensen and my brother, for allowing immigrants like us to become American. My message is to thank America that we are so blessed that there is no other countries in the world that is as beautiful and loved like America. In all America, where you find the heart that is purity and love. That's how I was able to enlist in the military and become successful today. And I want to thank America today that we see candidates that love the Hmong community, like Dr. Scott Jensen and my bird, and my auntie May was running for Congress. Support them. Vote for them. Donate. That's how we get involved. You don't vote, you don't donate, your voice is not heard. So today, go tell your families, friends, every single one in the Hmong community, 80,000 plus votes. It's going to make a new governor on top. When I met former Senator Al Franklin, this is back many years ago, I wasn't a politician, anybody. But the senator met me and he said, Tufong, take me to the Hmong festival and show me and meet the Hmong community. And I done it just for the senator. And he won. And he thanked me. But today I'm a Republican. I've decided to be Republican because it's my value. That's who I am, stood for. So my good friend Scott Jensen here and Matt Burke are the best candidates in the GOP here in Minnesota. They're the endorsed candidates. They're going to be the best governor, lieutenant governor. That is why they're here. They took the time, I was scheduled to come and meet you, give you food. And I heard some of you said, Jenny Van Paul, if he is here today, this is what Jenny Van Paul is going to say. Scott Jensen and Matt Burke, lieutenant governor and governor. I know it because Jenny Van Paul knows me and Shia very well. And he always go to the one that loves him, not the one that you love. So when Kota Bill came to Laos and said, will you fight for America? And he said, America actually come to me, I'm going to do everything I can to support the war in Vietnam, communism. Tonight we have a candidate who come here and give you food and spends time with us. That tells me that he is Kota Bill, Jenny Van Paul. So please vote for all of the Republicans, especially our governor and lieutenant governor and May and other candidates. For once, let's make a difference. Get involved, show the Republican Party who the Hmong is. Therefore, the Republican Party is going to come and embrace you and take you under their wings like America did. That's how I discovered the Republican Party. That's why I'm the chair of the Asian Republican. I encourage all of you tonight, tell that to your family. Let's give the Republican one chance for this time around to take back America and show Minnesota that the Hmong can make a difference again like the war in Vietnam. Thank you. That's all I say.
Well, I took a few notes. We will love all Minnesotans, and we will make certain that the Hmong veterans are cared for, honored, that benefits will come their way. Senior care and the abuse in senior care is a problem all over the state of Minnesota, and we will address that. I think that when it comes to your businesses, the Hmong community has every right to be so very proud of what you've accomplished because you've led the way for other immigrant groups to America. We are going to work on education, and we are going to take the passion that Tufong brings to you, and we're going to put that to work. Some of the most impactful people in my life have been the women in my life. My mom taught me to love others and to work hard and not to be satisfied just talking about it, but you got to get involved and walk the walk, not just talk the talk. My wife is a veterinarian, so she's a doctor of veterinary medicine, and my daughters are both doctors, and my son is an attorney. Family means everything. Matt Burke and I will stand by you so that you can honor your faith, take care of your family, celebrate and enjoy freedom, work with less government, have your businesses. We will do that for you. It has been a privilege to spend time with you tonight. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Scott, why you need more people vote for you?
This is a time where we all need to be a part of the change that has to affect Minnesota. We've all can say, enough is enough. We see government being too big. We see our freedom being taken away from us. We don't have the opportunity to take care of our family. We don't have the opportunity to celebrate freedom. We need to be able to elevate our faith. These are the things we all want, and that's why we should stand together, because we want to lift up faith, family, freedom. We want less government, and we want to be able to take care of life at the beginning of life, at the end of life, and throughout life. That's why we're together. And it's not happening right now in Minnesota.
Tonight, I see all the both people have last question for you. Are you responsible for the question they gave you?
There were many questions that came tonight, and the questions are good ones. The questions had to do a lot with leadership within the Hmong community, veterans and caring for the veterans and honoring the veterans who gave their lives, who gave up their health, risked their health. Many of these things came to, if you will, the discussion. We also talked about what's happening in nursing homes and care centers. Are people being given good care, or are they being, if you will, abused? We need to be careful of that. There were many excellent questions, but we are going to focus on making our streets safe again. We're going to have more police on the streets. We are going to have criminals put in jail. We are going to provide a better education for our kids. And we are going to lower the cost of gas, provide a better supply of groceries, and we are going to have a complete energy grid so people know that their homes will be heated in the winter and cooled in the summer. Matt, do you have anything you want to say?
I would just say, I think tonight really what I heard with the questions was that the Hmong community wants to make sure that they are seen and heard. They're not looking for any handouts. They're very proud people. I think they feel overlooked. I think they feel taken for granted by their leaders. And I heard them loud and clear. And I know Scott did too. And like I said, the Hmong community has been a huge positive here in the Twin Cities since they got here. They deserve to be heard, and they're a huge part of they're not just the Hmong community. They're a huge part of our community, and we need the Hmong community to prosper.
I think the Hmong community leaders have done an excellent job of trying to reach out to the leaders of Minnesota and say, you need to pay attention to us. The Hmong leaders have literally been the voice for the Hmong communities to the leaders of Minnesota, but the political leaders in Minnesota have not been paying attention. When an elderly person ends up in a nursing home, being able to communicate their concerns, their needs is critical. If there's a language barrier, which it would make sense that there would be, for elderly Hmong people that are housed in a nursing home, they would not have real easy time with English. We need to make certain that there are translators and interpreters in those nursing homes, because without that, there is no way that we can give good care to people who need and deserve such care. This is a powerful question, and it's a very important one, and I'm glad that tonight the Hmong leaders raised that up as an issue. We will take care of that.
一种呢是个等着可能会报道了呢要被读Dr. Scott JENSEN 要读有老师读我读 Governor nhớ到họ lúc sinh Minnesota mà nó thì tao tuần chỉ bây giờ là chỉ phong nhớ到lúc sau thì chọn đủ nó là cho chơi nó là chính xác tao để tận đây nó giờ chỉ mua cho even rồi nó bây giờ mà chọn ăn đủ rồi bữa rồi bây giờ là giờ chỉ số lượng cho tụ cả bây giờ là bỏ thì giờ dùng để trả